Hi, good afternoon. This is Sandra Lennington at Coach Academy, Inc. Um, Today, I am going to go over some Q&A, some questions that have been sent in by several people who are not going to be present. So this is going to be pretty much a time not only to answer questions, but also to share how you can repurpose your content, how you can use your content. So let's first start off. Hopefully you can see my screen. And looks like we do have somebody. Brent and Angel. Okay, hi. Hi, Brent. Can you hear me? Hello, how are you doing? Uh-oh, I'm not hearing you now. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you slightly. So, pardon me?
I'm saying I'm going to mute myself.
You know what, the connection is the audio is I can see you fine, but I can't really understand what you're saying.
We say that we're going to mute ourselves because we're in the car traveling, and I don't want all the bank.
Got it.
Okay.
So you're saying that you're going to mute yourself, is that right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. Many of the people are not going to be here, and so let me actually, because I did have, I have questions from several people. I know you had sent one in about the relationship, so before you mute yourself about the relationship books, I wasn't exactly clear which books you were talking about. And for those of you who are listening to this in the future, they were inquiring about using the books that have no author listed and you putting their own name on that. My sense is that's probably just fine. And I went through some of the relationship books and articles and things, and mostly it's fine if there's no name on. If there's something specific that you have a question about, please email me, and I can respond to specific ones. I didn't see any specific ones that you were necessarily talking about. There were some on winning your partner back or some such thing, and several other books, but there was also another section, I think, where there were several ebooks, and especially if you see graphics that go with the books, probably it's just fine. Usually that's an indication that that is available, so you can go ahead and do that. Does that make sense? Okay. So okay, good. So can you actually, are you able to see the screen? It should show the actual group for Coach Academy.
Right. It doesn't show that you're sharing.
Pardon me?
It's not showing that you're sharing, but
Okay.
I went into the group today earlier.
Okay. I'll stop the share and then reshare. So maybe that'll work. Oh, there you are. I didn't put my video on because it's pretty dark in here. It's overcast and it's so dark that it's not really visible. Okay, I'm going to reshare the desktop again and see if that will work. Let's see.
Okay, there it is.
Now, what are you actually looking at?
I'm seeing the Facebook group.
Okay, good. That's exactly what you should be seeing. Okay, good. So you guys are going to go ahead and mute then, I guess. And yeah. I'm going to go ahead and answer the other questions that came in. We've got about 7 other questions regarding content. And so the first one was, what tools besides business cards and or flyer can be utilized to attract potential clients for the coaching classes? So the answer to that is there is an incredible amount of tools that you can use. I am mostly, this sounds like it may be from somebody who is mostly doing face-to-face coaching. And most of the tools that I'm going to talk about have to do with using the content in different ways. So, but however, the content, so for example, let me just give an example here. I'm going to pull up there are a bunch of like ebooks, etc. And there's a bunch that are like 6 chapters long each. And let me just pull one up. Let's see. Okay, no, that's the whole list. Well, while I'm here, I'll run through this list. And then this is an example, actually. Ebooks, for example, you can do. So that content can be taken and just taken into Word. If you don't have any Microsoft tools, there's a free Office called Open Office that you can download and use. And I'm going to show you actually how I've taken some of the content and put it into an ebook. Also newsletters. Again, these could be like if you're actually doing physical newsletters, or it could be digital. And you can use the content for example, I'm going to just use that, like, for example, the Unstoppable Confidence one. That could be used, split up and used as articles in a newsletter. Also, audiobooks. There are a lot of easy ways just to make audio. I mean, you can actually make it on your phone. I've got like some recording thing on my phone, and then you can just and so technically you could just take one of these ebooks again and then make it into an audio using your own voice, and then do it with, you could have that in addition to the digital ebook. Another way you can do, while I'm here actually just talking about this same thing, you can actually make it take a PowerPoint, for example, take the same content, put it into like slides, and then you have like you can have like a video, you could talk behind it and have like a video. So you'd have that as well. Again, books. I created a couple of books, and there used to be Kindle, actually, over on Amazon is an easy publisher. It used to be Create Space, but they've like put that in together with Kindle. So the Create Space used to be an easy way to have your own book too. Mini books or reports are always good. Also, you know what's really people like are just these super short things called cheat sheets. And there are a ton of articles in the content that you can take around a certain topic and put that in as well. Also, consulting. Use your products and experience to provide useful information to companies. I know there are a lot of companies that have this lunch bunch thing where you can, go into some business that is, has, like, for example, specifically Brent and Angel, because you're here in your relationship things, can do like a 20-minute after lunch kind of talk. You can also consult and have contracts with them if they're, for coaching for their, like, I know, for example, Apple Computer, some of the bigger ones, Google, have even yoga teachers that come in and coaches. And so there's that option. Also blogs, of course, which are relatively common. Workbooks are always good. And again, you can just take this, and I'll pull up this, the content that I'm going to show you that can also be put into a workbook. Like my End Emotional Eating program has workbooks that goes, one workbook for each module, as well as an overall ebook that goes with that. Podcasts, again, another form of audio content. Sorry about that. An audio program, if you have a lot of material, just you can just take it into an audio program. There are also, if you're really serious about the audio thing, there are couple of places where you can like have your own radio program. I had been approached by somebody years ago, and I'm sure that's still around. People love podcasts too, and audio. Same thing with video. Vlogcast, which is a video, for example. Multimedia kits. Doing your own coaching program, of course. Teleseminars. You can just like interview people, teleworkshops, membership site, home study course. I'm going to zip through these because the radio show we already talked about. TV, they also have TV, internet. Some of these are pretty advanced. A syndicated column would be something probably that you need to be pretty much expert in your field for that. Articles, I think, used to be a lot more popular. I think it's a lot better to take those articles and make them into like something around a specific topic rather than just throwing them up. There used to be a site called, I think it was called eZines that did that. Software, you can hire somebody from Fiverr or Upwork for reasonable if you want to create software. CD and DVD training, I would, one of the other questions actually from down the list of our questions had to do with CDs and DVDs. My recommendation would be not to bother with that. I could be way wrong with this. All I know is that for me, I think CDs and DVDs are on their way out because everything is pretty much digital. I don't even have a CD player on any of my computers anymore. And the DVD thing, I don't know. So I could be way wrong on that, but that's just my take on it. Magazine, again, I actually used to publish a magazine about maybe 20 years ago. So that's a possibility. And they're easier, obviously, to create now. When I was doing it, I had to do all the layout like graphically on paper and cut out all this stuff. It was crazy. But so that's keynote speaking. Again, probably the other thing, again, you need to be an expert in your field. Reselling rights to your own products or private label rights, which is pretty much the same thing. So that's just a quick overview, but let me show you specifically what I started back to see on how to actually do this. Also, I'll tell you another thing, speaking of vlogs, is, and I'll go over there in a second, but okay, I'm going to just Unstoppable. Let me see if this is I'm trying to find, yeah. So this is like what it looks like. There's no formatting. There's a little bit of formatting with this, but not much. So this is like just an ongoing, could be an ebook. But in order to make it useful as an ebook, and I'll just stop here. There are about 6 chapters on all of these. There's, I don't know, probably between 6 and 8 of these different ebook-y kinds of things. This one's on Unstoppable Confidence. And so it has a quiz first. But what you can do then, let me just give you examples from this of what you could do. You can make this format it like, let me just bring up the one I did do. You can format it like this, and this was done in Word. They've got a lot of fancy stuff that you can do. Made it into an ebook with your, you know, your website, etc., and all that. Table of contents, and then actually took and did some editing. Some of this stuff I added my own stuff to. Did some extra formatting on it, so it's like a lot more, you can see it's a lot easier to read than the original. So that's the ebook. And then you can also just take each one of these chapters. I'm going to get out of this one. So you can take each one of these chapters, for example. So just how confident are you? I think this one is actually a quiz. The intro you don't need to worry about. So you could start out actually with an opt-in page. It could be like a confidence coach, for example. And just speaking of confidence coaches, exactly, brings up the whole area of really niching down, getting into a niche, or making a separate area for a to solve a very specific problem, because that's going to make you stand out from the crowd. And there are a lot of people, obviously, online, a lot of people who are coaching and wanting to get clients. So the more specific you are to the problem, the easier you're going to be able to be to attract clients who go like, oh my gosh, these people know how I feel. I also really, really recommend, and I've felt this for a long time, but more time goes by, the stronger I get. The best, easiest way to do is find a problem, a really difficult problem or struggle that you personally have struggled with and have overcome, because you know the language, you understand deeply the client and where that person is coming from, and you'll speak to that person's heart from a place that nobody else can. I mean, it's fine to stand up there and go like, okay, like in my case, for example, I've been in recovery for a long time, but nobody, and the end emotional eating thing that I'm doing is standing out, because it's not really, it is sort of weight loss, but not really weight loss, because the whole idea is actually to be honest underneath, even though it's not, I don't talk about it in the beginning, because what people are really interested in is ending the emotional eating. So I'm going for that, but underneath it's really a deep sense of not being good enough. And so really the root cause underneath all of it is not really having anything necessarily to do with food. It is about food, but it's not about food. And knowing that, and being able to know the characteristics of the people who end up in this kind of a situation where the food is a real struggle, where there are cravings, where there is like really loss of control, really being able to understand that at a deep level, and know that what people need is actually self-compassion, self-forgiveness, put the whip away. I mean, these are things that are not focused on in most weight loss things. So it's a very narrow niche, which is kind of what I mean when you're looking for a course or something. To know the problem at a deep level will really help you not only stand out, but bring people to you who go like, oh, this person knows exactly what I'm talking about. So that's just a little aside. But so back to this thing. So what you can do is, this is an assessment. So it's a self-assessment. So you can take it, do that, and do it as an opt-in on a page on your on your first page, and I always recommend on the first page of a website that you have an opt-in, because the main idea, and I'm going to go into this more deeply in a second, the main idea is to get the email of the person who's on your website. Because it doesn't do any good to have a really lovely website and somebody comes visit and admire it and then just leaves. You really want to get connected with the person. And so if you give away, and if you have a giveaway that is really attractive and something that speaks to a problem, you're going to be in a really in a much better place as far as your efforts, the return on the efforts that you're making. So for example, this, you might have this like as an opt-in, and then they could like fill that out and put in, they'll put in their email to get it. And then you'll have them on an email list, and then you can follow up with this course, which would be or you could like even offer it as a 6-day free unstoppable confidence, build unstoppable confidence course, and use it as an email course. So you would take like one chapter per day and email it to the person. And this is really effective because it's building trust in the people who are coming to you. They begin to know, like, and trust you, and that is like super important. So another way then that you could use this is also to have an actual course around it. I mean, as in like once a week, let's say 6-week course on unstoppable confidence. And I actually did this. I think I called it a new you, and we had 6. I was doing it actually around the work of Byron Katie, because a lot of this has to do with your beliefs about yourself and others. And so that worked out really well. So that, and for something like that, you can charge like $197. So you could even do like, yeah, so that's just another example of what you could do with this. Also, obviously, you could do the audio, or you could have like a group. You could have like a group meeting around this. That would be excellent. That's another way you can use it. So, okay, let me just go see, because we're going to run out of time. We only did like your question and this one. Okay. Okay, how long does it take before one can truly see a success rate with their Coach Academy? And actually, there's a group here of questions that came. There are a couple. Yeah, there's this, and this next one also came from that person. Due to other schools on Facebook that promote their coaching courses for $2.99, however, reduced its rates to $25. Is Facebook really a great place to promote one's business? Reduce, I'm not really exactly sure. I wrote this person back and asked her to expand on it, because I wasn't sure whether I have never seen a certification course for coaching for $2.99 ever. So I am not exactly sure what that means. About Facebook advertising, I'm going to say more about that in a minute, because I'm using it and it's been amazing. So as far as other schools, again, if you're doing a coaching certification, probably would be a good idea to focus on, rather than life coach only, to focus and narrow down on, I know Mackenzie has about 200 different niches, and how you do that then is you can still use the same content for the classes, but then have them for the specific area that they want to specialize in, to do a special project, and that would be like their final exam around that particular topic. So, for example, domestic violence might be one area, or recovery code, or let's say recovery coaching is also too broad. I would say get super specific on that, the particular one, whether it be like marijuana recovery, or I don't know, cigarettes or whatever. Anyway, just get pretty specific as far as your niche. Again, I can't overemphasize that. Our giveaway a tool to attract, to attract potential clients. Absolutely. Either, and I'll tell you what, people are giving away more and more, to be perfectly honest. I've seen people giving away whole programs in order to get people on board. And the truth is that it can be a good way to get potential clients. And I think the value of it actually is to see that they get to actually experience your value as a coach and as a person. And if it's a fit, I mean, there are a zillion people out there who want to get certified as coaches, and we need a zillion people. The coaching industry actually is exploding, and it has been for years, actually. I think, to be perfectly honest, I finally broke down and actually hired me a coach. And I'll tell you what, it was a little pricey, but it's been the most effective thing that I've done so far. So I see more and more companies actually hiring people to coach their employees, which is it might not be relatively new. Obviously, the big companies have been doing it for a long time, but even smaller companies. So that's another possibility, especially if you're doing like face-to-face kinds of things, and you happen to know different businesses in your area. It wouldn't hurt to do that. That's a good way to get going. This is an interesting question. Should one think about reducing their rate due to the competition that's promoted online? That's a really tricky question. I don't really recommend reducing your rate. I would recommend instead increasing the value that you offer. And actually, I'm going to go into that in a minute here, because I have an interesting take on how you can actually do that. So yeah, that's a short answer on that one. Is it a good idea to create audiobooks and CDs to help with making money? I think audiobooks, as in digital audiobooks, are great. Again, this is the CD area. I don't necessarily recommend, and like I said before, I could be wrong with CDs. I don't know. I mean, we have a CD in our car still, but our car is 20 years old too, so that's not probably a good indicator. And do you have any other suggestions on how to make money with the coaching business? Yes, actually, I do. I'm going to go, before I forget, actually, I'm going to go and just mention, this is not in regards necessarily to making money, but this is something that is up, and it's been around for a long time. And that's YouTube, but it's becoming super popular for advertising. So it wouldn't hurt you. You may have a Facebook page to get yourself a channel. They're not that hard to make. This is one that I have, but I haven't. I've got a lot of unlisted videos here that is for a 7-day challenge that I'm doing for end emotional eating. So this is and speaking of vlogs, which we talked about earlier, this is a super good way to do it, because what you can do then is stick your video up here. Then you've got, like, for example, you've got like when you, okay, when you bring it up, you've got like a URL here that you can just copy and paste into any kind of Facebook ad or you know, any other you know, post. So it's a great way to store video. It's a great way to build video, and then you can use that video for a course, which is also, we spoke a little bit about courses, but let me let me go over here. Oh, I just want to mention this other thing. You know, we talked about doing a presentation. So this is just an example of that. So this is a very short one, obviously. 10 tips for increasing, to renew your deep connection. And then there's like 5 ways for women to enhance emotional intimacy. There's this obviously way too much text. You really don't want to have this kind of text on a video, for sure. It's a lot better to have pictures on video, but you can just use this information though for, you could do like an email course. You could do like a PowerPoint, which this is a PowerPoint, but you could actually make a PowerPoint out of this and then do the audio with it and make it into a video, which is nice, which you could post. And you could also do that like as a giveaway, you know, on your opt-in. Speaking of opt-ins, let me just do a quick, this is part of the practice building series that you already have in your content. And the importance, let me see if I can make this bigger. So the importance, I just can't stress enough the importance of having a list. So again, your opt-in on your front page needs to be a way of capturing leads. And then you nurture them the ways that I talked, either have like a free 6-day course on a specific problem or whatever, and then you can offer them something bigger, and then obviously deliver and satisfy, and then you can always upsell. So that's the basic overall idea. Obviously, if you have an elevator speech, you want to introduce yourself as a coach and someone asks you, you want to be able to just say in a sentence, I help what? I help coaches 10x their business in record time or something like that. So it could be super short like that, just to get people interested. But let me just go down here because I want to talk a little bit about, let's see if it's on here. Domains. These are just naming your domains. Maybe it's not on here. Okay, so this is an example of an opt-in page. This page is super, super messy. I want to show you this is my old page for life recovery. So this was lovely. It's so lovely and beautiful, nice to look at it. And it actually was like a carousel. So it was so lovely. But you know what happened is these were my stats. I was getting like, this was back in 2012, I was getting like more than 1,000 unique visitors. And I don't know whether, yeah, and more than 1,000 unique visitors, that page. I had no idea who was there. No record, no nothing. So this dude, here's what's like super important about this. Who else wants to discover how to stop your parrot from biting you? Now, how much more niche can you get than that? I mean, that is like super specific. I mean, this guy is speaking to only people who own parrots and only parrots who are biting. So this guy did phenomenal business, but this is what an opt-in page does. It needs to be, and it also needs to be above the fold, which means it needs to be right right in your face, not down. You don't scroll down, and preferably that your homepage just have pretty much that on it, so that people don't have time to. They get to put their name in, and yeah, pretty much that's it. So the fewer choices, the better. The more choices, the less you're going to be able to capture people. So that was just the example of that. So yeah, so this was my opt-in page for this other site that I had, and this was the opt-in for Slim Down Secrets thing, and not very beautiful, but it was super effective. And like I said, the importance of having a list it can't be overrated. And let me see if this one had anything else of importance. Yeah, the list. The list is going to be your foundation for sure. You need a red hot giveaway. You need marketing copy and a website to deliver the valuable offer. So essentially, again, this is an example which I just showed you to, and again, same period. Here's another one. It does have other things on it, but front and center is the sign up right here in the beginning. Again, sign up. MailChimp's good, Aweber's, Constant Contact. There's a lot of them. MailChimp is probably the least expensive. Yeah. So that's just a quick summary of that, because that is super important. Let me just quickly do this. This again is going to cover a little bit of also what we had spoken of before. But so for this guy is talking about, so a book might be worth $10, an audio version might be worth $100, and a video home study course will be worth $300. So you can get content and use the content again I spoke before about increasing your value. So here's how you increase value. This is a little these are just ideas that are pretty much the same as what we were talking about. Hiring a ghostwriter, private label rights. Okay. If you go on Google and just put down your topic and do PLR rights, you can find all kinds of people who have prepared content if you're short of content. Now, the content that you have is specifically for certifying coaches, pretty much. So, but there's content, similar kind of things for every other thing that you can think of. I'll tell you the other thing is you can get the private label rights, and then you can actually take that content and again make it into all the different things that I've already talked about. Compile a book, newsletters we already spoke about, re-niching the content, that's using the same content in a different niche. The public domain, anything that was published before 1923 can be taken and used. You can just put your name on it. So for example, that Think and Grow Rich book by Napoleon, whatever his name was, 1,000 people have taken that and made money from it. But you can also take it and again add audio or find other things that have to do with the same person, for example, and just add that. So you're building value by just adding things that you can get for free. Audiobooks, again, audio reviews. Some of this is just a repeat podcast. You can buy You can get podcasts that are free and put them all together in a compilation so that you have a whole lot of related ones around a certain topic, and sell those because they're worth more for sure. Telesummits, just interviewing, for example, people who are in your field who may have like mentors of yours and have that. That's also valuable. Mastermind roundtables you can have, or inner circles, video mastermind. I use Camtasia, and on the Mac people use ScreenFlow, just speaking about software that people use to create some of this stuff. But you can also go to Fiverr and have somebody actually put it together for you, or Upwork is another place you can do that. So this should give you some idea. Also, a retreat, this is an idea that I really like. You could do this digitally as well as in person, a weekend retreat. So for example, you could have flyers, say for example, if this is just a face-to-face thing and not digital, offer a weekend with you and someone else where you deal with a specific topic that has to do with, for example, relationship, or has to do with money. The hot fields then are health, relationships, money, weight loss, yeah, and fitness, those kinds of things. Yeah, so they're only like about 5 areas, but niching down, as I said, into something super specific, like how do I deal with divorce, for example, in a relationships thing, or yeah, so that would be an example of that. Software, again, is pretty easy to get somebody to do that for you. Again, that's pretty specific. I don't know anybody who's actually done that. I mean, I've heard tell of, but I guess it can be very lucrative if you get, if you are solving a problem again. Recycling the same content with a new hook. Yeah, other people, membership sites. So, okay. So that, and now I also wanted to share with you one other thing, which is what I am actually doing, because I told you I hired a new coach, and I've started using a thing called ClickFunnels probably at the end of January. I haven't really shared much about it because I want to make sure it works. I don't like sharing information that I haven't used and that I don't know works. So what I'm doing currently is this End Emotional Eating Effortlessly. I've had a page, this is a group page, but I've also had just a regular page for it, and not been all that active or consistent on it. However, this coach is an idea to offer a 7-day free healthy eating challenge as a way of getting people to come as clients. And so the idea is for 7 days, I've done 2 videos per day, morning and evening. No, actually, I think, yeah, no, I did, no. I did a welcome video and 1 video per day, but they get 2 emails a day. But it started out, I started advertising on Facebook yesterday for this, and I started out with a list of 0. I had no people on this list because I was using a different autoresponder system, and it was so pricey that I just decided to not do it. And so what happened is I started advertising yesterday. I now have a list of 306 people in 24 hours using Facebook. I mean, it is like amazing. So people are signing up, and then they're they're being told to go to the group, and so we'll be doing 7 days. They'll be each getting email, and I have a cheat sheet. So they have to do one task per day that has to do with changing habits regarding overeating or emotional eating. Essentially, it has a lot to do with food, because in the beginning, when you're dealing with, as I said before, you really need, it is an area that needs to be taken care of and looked at first, because according to the course that I'm doing, they're really, and actually you have that course in your content. There are actually 5 pillars that need to be addressed. The physical one being one, mental, emotional, spiritual, and also social. And many people do not deal with the social aspect. So I think it's a super important area, but it's a pretty complex subject, because actually, to my mind, emotional eating, when it gets really serious, is technically, in my mind, it isn't classed as such, but it really is an addiction in my book. And so I treat it that way in the program. So the idea is to get as many people on this group for the week, and the free week starts on Monday. And so I will let you know how it goes. And then at the end of that, they are offered like a free empowerment call. And according to my coach, who's done this with other topics and other things, usually you end up with at least 1 or 2 high ticket clients that would be paying probably $1,000 a month, maybe, or something along those lines. But I'm going to be offering a lot of other things, and there's a lot of other ways actually to use this. But once these people are on a list, they are available to offer all kinds of things too. So that, again, I just want to re-emphasize the importance of the list and how that goes. So I'll keep everybody apprised of how that goes. So let me just quickly go over in the group and see. Let me just check my notifications. So all these people at the top, I've got a zillion new likes on the page. Let's see. Another likes, accepted your invitation. Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot. There's a lot of reaction, and it's been phenomenal. I've never actually advertised. I have advertised on Facebook before, but only for clicks. This Facebook ad is I only have to pay if I get somebody, and it's called a conversion. So let me just quick show you what the ad thing looks like, because it's only if people convert. So I've got 316 leads. So the cost per lead is 93 cents a lead, which is phenomenal. So that's pretty exciting. So anyway, I will keep you all abreast of that. Let me see if I go, and I'm going to stop sharing now. So that is about what I have to share. If there are any questions, I will post this to the group. If there are any questions, feel free to email and let me know what those are, if not any of this makes sense. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll talk soon. Bye.